As One Piece Season 2 gets closer, today I want to focus on one specific character, Nami. I genuinely loved the first season, and I really loved Nami as well. The casting was perfect in my opinion. But the real question I'm curious about for Season 2 is this. Will Netflix turn Nami into a more fun, cheeky, and lively character like she is in the anime and manga? Or will they continue with the heavier, more distant tone we saw in Season 1? Before we get into the details, I want to say one thing first. You are my Straw Hat crew, and I'm going to need your help. The channel has been dealing with serious algorithm issues lately, and the videos aren't being recommended like they used to be. If you like the video, subscribe to the channel, and share your thoughts in the comments. It would help more than you can imagine. Your support really means a lot to us. If you're ready, let's begin. One of the things that keeps me thinking the most is what kind of version of Nami we're going to see. And just to be clear, I don't want anyone to think I dislike the first season, quite the opposite. I really loved it, and Nami was one of the best written characters for me. I'll say it openly, Emily Rudd was a perfect choice for Nami. Her energy and on-screen presence fit the character incredibly well, and we got a performance that truly worked. But, and yes, that but, matters. I don't think the tone of Nami in Season 1 was wrong at all, especially considering the Arlong Park storyline. It made complete sense. We watched a Nami who was trying to save her village, carrying her past like a heavy burden on her shoulders, and unable to fully trust anyone. Because of that, she was more aggressive, more distant, and tougher. That was the right choice for the story. However, if Season 2 continues with that same weight non-stop, I think there's a real risk of missing Nami's true spirit. Because after Arlong Park, a completely new chapter begins for Nami. She's no longer someone who survives by making plans alone, she's someone who's traveling with a crew she belongs to. That difference is critical. What Netflix needs to do here isn't to suddenly turn Nami into a completely different character, but to slowly let her breathe. Moving forward without denying the trauma, but also without letting it control her entire life. In Season 2, I want to see Nami gradually reclaim her more playful side. I don't need big comedy scenes or exaggerated facial expressions. What I want are small moments, her eyes lighting up during negotiations, her instantly getting serious when money is mentioned, getting annoyed by the crew's reckless bravery, and then still saving them anyway. That's Nami. Netflix can convey this easily through subtle dialogue, looks, and small character beats. And there's also this. Nami's humor isn't loud or exaggerated. It comes from her intelligence, her cunning, and the way she calculates everything. So the excuse of this wouldn't work in live action just doesn't work for me. It absolutely can work, and it can work really well if Netflix doesn't lock her into the role of just the serious, logical crew member. Once the crew enters the Grand Line, the responsibility on Nami's shoulders automatically increases, and I think Netflix has a very strong foundation here. This sea isn't like East Blue. The weather changes instantly, routes make no sense, and logic stops working. At that point, Nami isn't just someone who loves money, she becomes the crew's literal survival insurance. I want that side to remain intact. Let her be stressed, let her get angry, let her snap sometimes, but let those familiar Nami reflexes break through the tension. Even something as simple as her rolling her eyes when Luffy says, "Let's go that way," or interrupting a dangerous plan with "How much is this going to cost us?" is enough. These moments don't slow the story down. They make the characters feel alive. One of Netflix's strengths is dialogue, and if they place Nami at the center of those exchanges, she becomes far more memorable. One thing I especially want to see return is Nami's money negotiations, but done smartly, not cartoonishly. Talking about payment even when going to save someone, then secretly planning to help anyway, that doesn't make Nami a bad person. It shows the defense mechanism she built to survive. If Netflix handles this correctly, viewers can laugh at Nami while also understanding her better. Another important point, Nami being more cheerful doesn't mean her past is erased. It means she's learning how to live with that weight. In Season 2, seeing her enjoy herself at times, act cheeky at others, and then suddenly turn serious again feels completely natural to me. That's how healing works in real life. It doesn't happen overnight, but reveals itself in small moments. If Netflix finds the right balance here, Nami won't be loved just because she's smart or beautiful, but because she feels real. The strong dramatic foundation built in Season 1 can become a major advantage that lifts the character even higher in Season 2, as long as they don't keep her stuck in the same rigid mode. When Vivi enters the story, another layer of Nami's character emerges, one that I really love. At that point, the story stops being just about, let's continue our journey, and turns into the fate of an entire country. I don't expect Nami to instantly jump into hero mode. In fact, her being cautious at first feels much more realistic. But when things become serious and she refuses to back down, that shows her conscience and maturity. If Netflix conveys this transition through quiet decision-making moments instead of loud speeches, it can be incredibly powerful. I especially enjoy Nami's internal calculations in moments like these. Listing risks on one hand, then finally saying, okay, we're doing this. That's what makes Nami who she is. Netflix doesn't need a big monologue for this. Glances, short lines, hesitation followed by resolve work much better in live action. When it comes to Drum Island, this is, in my opinion, Nami's most critical threshold in Season 2. For the first time, we see her not as the strong, controlling planner, but as someone fragile, sick, and in need of help. After watching a tough Nami all through Season 1, this reversal makes her deeply human. And seeing the crew risk everything for her opens a new door in her mind. I'm not alone anymore. If Netflix handles this moment correctly, Nami evolving into a more relaxed and joyful character afterward won't feel forced at all. It will feel earned. That joy won't be shallow happiness, it will be the relief that comes from trust. That's exactly the version of Nami I want to see. And I'll say this clearly. If this transformation happens, Nami could become one of the most entertaining characters in the entire series. She has intelligence, humor, and a past heavy enough to carry dramatic weight when needed. Netflix has an incredibly strong character in their hands. The only question is which direction they choose to take her. I also want to specifically talk about the actor here, because whether this transformation works on screen depends heavily on performance. In Season 1, we clearly felt Nami's anger, distance, and inner tension. That was a very strong acting foundation. There's absolutely no reason why the same actor couldn't transition into a more playful, relaxed, and cheeky Nami in Season 2. If anything, that transition opens up a much more enjoyable acting space. The biggest mistake Netflix could make is thinking, the audience liked Nami this way, let's keep her exactly like this. Because in One Piece, characters don't stay the same, they change with the journey. Nami has to change too. But this shouldn't be a 180-degree turn. It should be a layered process. Small jokes, subtle cheekiness, money talk, all of it should slowly return. Personally, I want to see Nami breathing a little more in Season 2. Not a character with slumped shoulders and a serious face in every scene, but someone whose eyes sometimes sparkle, who plans, who snaps at the crew, and who feels alive. This won't weaken the dramatic moments. On the contrary, it will make them hit much harder when they arrive. And there's this too. Nami's fun side isn't just for comedy, it's essential for crew dynamics. Luffy's reckless courage, Zoro's cold seriousness, Sanji's extremes, Nami's cunning and love of money balance, all of that perfectly. If Netflix leans into this dynamic a bit more, the crew scenes will feel much more vibrant. My expectations aren't extreme. I don't want a frame-by-frame anime copy, and I don't need manga-level exaggeration. All I want is this, in Season 2, to feel that Nami's burden has lightened a little and that she's being allowed to be herself. If they pull this off, Nami will become unforgettable in the live-action format as well. So here's what I hope to feel while watching Nami in Season 2. Still cautious, still calculating, but no longer constantly on edge. Not someone always planning an escape, but someone who can take risks and say, okay, let's do this. This change shouldn't be explained through dialogue, but through behavior. Netflix doesn't need to exaggerate it, just let it happen naturally. Nami's cheeky side returning is especially important to me. Instantly getting serious when money comes up, instinctively negotiating even while helping someone, trying to scam the crew and getting caught, these moments don't weaken Nami, they complete her. In fact, the heaviness of Season 1 makes these moments even more valuable. And let me be very clear about this. Nami being fun doesn't make her weak. It makes her confident. Seeing a Nami who can joke, tease, and relax because she finally has people she can rely on feels completely natural to me. If Netflix doesn't give us that, Nami risks becoming a bit one-dimensional. My ideal scenario is simple. As the season progresses, we see more expressions, more reactions, and more emotional range on Nami's face. A Nami who gets angry, laughs, calculates, but knows she's no longer alone. This stays true to the anime and manga spirit while still respecting live-action realism. In short, what I want from Nami in Season 2 is simple but crucial. Not a character locked into a single mold, but someone who opens up as the journey continues. If Netflix finds this balance, Nami won't just be a well-adapted character, she'll become one of the most beloved faces of the One Piece live action. And honestly, I really believe that can happen. So what do you think? Do you want to see a more fun, cheeky Nami in Season 2, closer to her anime and manga tone? Or is the heavier, more controlled version from Season 1 enough for you? Make sure to share your thoughts in the comments. I'm genuinely curious. And if you enjoyed the video, don't forget to hit like and subscribe to the channel. Your support is incredibly important for keeping this kind of One Piece content going. See you again in the next video.